Hello, welcome to Carmen's a Stitch. I'm Tanya. This is a channel where I talk about my knitting projects, and sometimes my son's here with me, crochet projects, any crafty business that we get into. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back, you guys. I have some exciting stuff this week. So first thing, if you're looking to get in touch with us, all the ways to do that are listed in the description box below. If you're new here, I kind of do a different format that I've decided to do this year. And what I do is I work on one project for 1 week and see how far I can get. If I don't finish that project within the week, then I roll the dice. I have a dice app on my iPad, and we pick another project. If I finish the project before the week is over, then I share with you guys how my progress was, how it went, my thoughts on the pattern, and the yarn that I may have used. And then we roll the dice and we pick another project, and I work on that one for a week. So this week, however, I have a confession, and that is I should have rolled the dice yesterday. Yesterday was Friday. Today is Saturday, March 16th. And I should have rolled it yesterday. However, I had a full day of my knitting time consumed with something else, which we'll talk about. And so I had no guilt in adding that day on. And I was so close with this project this week that I went ahead and took, I can't even say I took today, because I spent the day today helping a friend with some stuff. And so I wasn't able to do any knitting today. So I was like, you know what? I'm so close that if I just go home this evening, I was in the middle of the bind off, I will be able to finish this. So I went ahead and gave myself that time. So I do have a finished object, you guys. Look at this. This progress keeper is where I was last Friday when I rolled the dice. That progress keeper is where I was. So I gotten that much of the project done. We've got short rows over here. It has not been blocked yet. Look at how beautiful that is. I've got quite a bit on each end still. It's a pretty long shawl wrap. I did start, I know this is going to shock a lot of you if you've been here for a bit, but I did start weaving in some ends. I don't know who I'm becoming, but there are no ends on this side of the shawl. All the ends are woven in, and then I got to about here, and I was like, I still have several. I can do those while I edit the video, and they'll be done. But you guys, I cannot tell you enough amazing stuff about this pattern. I had such a good time with it. So the pattern is called the Maristica. It's by Marie Amelie Designs, and she has I want to say just under 100 patterns available on Ravelry. I want to say it was like 94 or 96 patterns, and the majority of them are free patterns, to include the Maristica. And in this project, you have some garter, you have brioche, a bit more garter, short rows. I mean, it didn't get boring. There was at no point in time was I worried or like, oh, this is kind of a slug of a project. This was so much fun to work on all the way through the end. And at the end of the project, she gives you two options to bind off. Let's see if I can find it. So she gives you two different bind off options, and she says on the following row you will bind off the stitches of your Maristica shawl using one of the two methods: choose the picot bind off option for a more feminine touch, or should you prefer a more neutral edge, choose Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. And she gives you the instructions for both of those bind offs. And I did, which did take me a little bit longer, but I did choose the picot bind off, because isn't that just a beautiful finishing? Oh, you guys, it's so pretty. You can't really see it because I love it. It has turned out so beautiful. I'm so happy with this project. And it's finished. The wool that I used, where's my project bag? It's right here. So the wool that I used was by Blue Savannah. And I know I've shared this before, but because I'm wrapping up this project, I'm going to share one more time. I used her fingering weight. It just says fingering weight, 50% superwash merino, 50% silk. There's 438 yards per 100 grams. And the main color that I used was called Manuka. And this is what I have left of the second skein of that. So, and we will weigh this and put it in my spreadsheet. So then the contrast color was called Cameron Rose, and it was the same base, and this is what I have left of Cameron Rose. And again, it was 50% superwash merino, 50% silk. We are going to weigh this and get it into my spreadsheet. I used my ChowGoo US 5s. I don't know what millimeter that is, you guys. So many people are so, a 3.75. Yep, a 3.75 US 5. And it's finished. It was such a fun project. My Ravelry page will be updated. And we will update the spreadsheet as far as yardage that I've crafted this year. But let's talk about that 24-hour window where I met with a lady who works at the yarn shop, and I got like a private lesson on how to make socks out of a tube. So I have 2 FOs this week. I'm so excited. I have 2 FOs this week. So this particular project, it was she has a sock knitting machine, and so she cranked out a tube. It was a 60 stitch tube, so it's a 60 stitch circumference tube. And if you're not familiar, what you do is you go in and you basically cut the stitches on the tube. You measure your foot, you figure out where your toe's going to be and where your heel needs to be, and then you add the toe, the heel, and the cuff by cutting into this tube that's already knit. It was amazing. So I'll show you. I have a pair of socks. Look at that, you guys. I've never. So the only type of heel that I have, because this is the heel, it looks just like the toe, but I've never done this type of heel. I've only done a heel flap and gusset, and which I love. I think it's a magical thing I just think it's magical. But so if you look at this, if you're not familiar, oops, I dropped one. Sorry. Stop shaking the camera, Tanya. These stripes were all cranked on a machine. Okay. All of this was cranked onto a machine in a big long tube. It was 100-gram skein. And then you pick a contrast color, right? And you pick up the stitches where you cut the tube. And I used a US 1. I want to make sure I'm telling you. I ended up using the Knitter's Pride Dreams. Those are the stitches I used. A US 1 was what I used for this. And you put in the toe, and then you measure from the toe to where you'll need to put your heel, and then you put the heel in. And I like shorties, so, and then you add the cuff. And you do that twice. I had these done within 24 hours, and I didn't knit the whole time, obviously. I can't tell you what yarn it was, because for my private lesson, it was a tube that was kind of donated, and I'm just so excited that I learned how to do this. So I do have, and I tried to get the stripes to match as closely as I could. I feel like I did pretty good. I mean, it's a little off up here, I guess. But yeah, look at how great. You guys, I have 2 FOs this week. Oh. So when I cut the tube and before I added the cuffs, the heels, and the toes, I did weigh what just the stripes were. And each sock was 14 grams of stripes before the cuff, the heel, and the toe were added. So when I weigh these socks, I will subtract the 14 grams that were the tube before I added the heel, toe, and cuff. You guys, I just shared 2 FOs in under 12 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to add this stuff to my spreadsheet, which I will do with you guys. Got my needles put away. I have 2 project bags that I can empty. I'm just so excited about it. I had such a great time with it. It's always fun to learn new things, isn't it? So I'm going to pull up my spreadsheet. I'm going to get my scale, and we'll see what type of yardage I got this week. All right, I'll see you guys in a second. All right, so here we are with the spreadsheet. I'm gonna do the sock first. And like I said, this tube was 14 grams before I added the heel, toe, and cuff. So when I put it on the scale, and it's 27 grams, but I have to take 14 off. So that would be 13 grams. Is that right? I'll double check. I'm pretty sure it's 13 grams. And that's just for one sock. I did 2 socks. So 13 and 13 would be 26 grams. So 26 grams are what I had. And I have 0 grams left. So that means I used all 26 grams. So in this project, there's 104 yards that I used. Okay, so now let's go up to the Maristica. With the Manuka, the first skein, where it says grams left, I have no grams left, right? Because I used 1 whole skein. For the second skein of the Manuka, go ahead and get that over here on the scale. I have 39 grams left. So 39 left, which means I used 68. Now for Cameron Rose, that cute little nugget of Cameron Rose that I had, this was the contrast color. I have 18 grams left. So 18 grams left. There we go. So those are all, here's the yardage that went into the project for the Maristica. Here's how many yards I put into the tube sock. And now I can make these all blue because they're finished objects now. And then I can put today's date. Today's date is March 16. So my spreadsheet is done for those 2 projects. I just have a couple more and it'll show me my total for the year. I'm so excited. Okay, so we have the yardage in the spreadsheet now, and I'm really excited. I love that I'm keeping track of how much I've crafted this year. I'm really proud of myself for remembering to weigh the tube socks before I added anything to them. But now it's time to roll the dice and see what I'm going to work on this next week. My wrist is doing so much better. I do believe I'm going to put off crocheting for a little bit longer just to not take any chances. But let's roll the dice. All right, so here is my whip wall. So if you're new here, if you're returning, I'm sorry you have to go through this every week. But for those of you that are new, this is what I call my whip wall. And as you can see, I have 18 cubbies. I have 1 through 6, 7 through 12, and then 13 through 18. And on my iPad, I have a dice app here. And I had it suggested to me to make sure that I already have the app closed. So each time I do this, I'm going to reopen it just to make sure, because I have ironically had it happen where I put one down and I roll the dice, and I've rolled the same project twice now. So I am going to close it just to make sure. I do not remember what cubby my Maristica was in, but I don't have any empty cubbies this week. But what I'm doing is I have this dice app. And when I open the dice app, there's 2 dice on here. And when I tap the screen, it rolls both of them. The first one has 20 digits on it. I only have 18 cubbies. So if it rolls 19, I will pick up this project, which is a blanket. This week I'll actually end up re-rolling if it says 19 because it's a crochet project. But if it rolls 20, I'll pick up this project bag here, which is also another blanket. The project bags are too big, so they're sitting in front of the cubbies anyway. But yes, and then this second dice just has 2 digits on it. And what that does is, like here, I have 1 and 2. So if I roll 1, I'll pull this one. And if it spins 2, I'll pull that one. Is that as clear as mud? I feel like it makes sense in my head. So let's see where we're going this week. 1, 1. All right, so here we are. QB1, Project 1. Ugh, there are 2 in here. Let's see what this is. Let's see if it's something finishable this week. What are we at? What am I looking at? I think it's a top. It's a bottom up. This might be my Dathan. This might be my Dathan. It is. So this is a Dathan sweater. I'm not sure if there's any pictures in the pattern. Let's take a look and see. No. Yes, there is. So this is by, let me see. You guys, why isn't it more clear who the pattern writer is? Designed by Kate Davies Designs. So here is, and you'll have to forgive, my printer was clearly running out of toner, but here is the cover picture for the Dathan. So that is what I will be working on this week. I have a good start on it. I love those colors. In here I have a bunch of minis, and it appears as though I'm rolling the dice to see how many rows I'm going to do. And I believe I wasn't going to do more than 3 per color. So in here I have the colors that I've already put in. And then in the bag are the colors I have left to put in. I don't remember how far I was supposed to go, but I will put a progress keeper on here to mark where I'm at this week. So I'm really excited about this. This is one that I've really wanted to do for quite a while. There's a lot of people in my local yarn shop. I shouldn't say a lot. There's several people in my local yarn shop that that have made this. And there's one person in particular who made a modification to the neck, which looks amazing. And it's like a slouchy turtleneck. I don't know if there's a proper name for that, but if there is, please feel free to leave it in the comments. I am going to get going with this. I'm very excited. I've wanted this top for a long time. And now I get to work on it. So I hope everybody's doing good. I'll be back tomorrow morning, hopefully for a progress update. And maybe I'll have the ends woven in on my Maristica. So I hope everybody's doing well. I'm going to go and knit on my Dathan. Okay, it's still Saturday night. I have put my progress keeper on there. And I have to say, you guys, I have the Knit Companion app on my iPad, and it has all of the majority of my current whips, the patterns in my Knit Companion, and I was able to open up the Dathan because it was my 5th cast on of my 12 cast ons of Christmas. It was the 5th one that I cast on, and it opens up right to where I left off. And I had a note. I know exactly where I am, and I'm ready to just take it away and keep going. The other thing is that with this dice app, I will go back. I'm pretty confident I was just going to do at the most 3 or 4. I may go back and watch my cast on number 5 episode so I can remind myself if I was going to do 3 or 4 rounds the most. I think it may be 4 because if you look at this green here, I've got 4, but I only have 1 of a few of the others. So I know that I was using the dice, so I'm going to go back. I'm pretty sure it was 4. I'm going to double check, but then I'm ready to go. And it was super great to have this. Sorry, it is late Saturday night. It's time. It was kind of nice to be able to open up my Knit Companion and have it be right where I left off with a note as far as where I needed to be. So you guys, I really am going to go knit now. All right. Okay, so it is now Sunday, and I have been working on my Dathan. This right here is where I was last night whenever when I rolled the dice and pulled this. I put this progress keeper in. So this is where I was last night, Saturday night. And this is my progress so far. Now, a couple things I want to share. This top, it's called the Dathan. It is kind of a crop top, and in the pattern, there's a note that says, if you would like to make this longer, this is the place you want to add some length. So the pattern tells you this is where you'll add your length. Now, I know that I want it longer than what the pattern is written for, and so I added an extra 3 inches right now. But what I've also done is, just like with those tube socks that I did, I put 2 lifelines in. You can see them right here. They look like they're both yellow, but one of them is green. So I put these 2 lifelines in, and then this, if I decide when I get done that I want it even longer, I can go in and, just like with that tube sock, I can cut this row in between. I'll pick up these stitches on both of the lifelines and then cut that stitch that's in between and separate this bottom from the top of the sweater, and I'll be able to add however much length I want to at that point. So I have added the 2 lifelines. I have added 3 extra inches at this point. And this is my progress as of Sunday. That's pretty good. So I am getting ready to start the increases. So I figured this was a good place to stop and record an update and let you guys know. I'll see you in a week and we'll see how this goes. I don't know how far I'll get. It is pretty much just straight knitting. There's not much pattern to it. But I am using, I can't show you because I'm recording on my phone, but I am using a 4-sided dice, and I'm rolling the dice, and that's telling me how many rows per color I'm doing. So like with this orange, it was a 4, I rolled a 4, so I did 4 rows of the orange. And some of them were identical, others not. So that's how I'm determining how many rounds for each color. But isn't this fun? I'm so excited, you guys. So that's my progress so far, and that is where I'm going to end it for the week and say, you guys have a wonderful week. Spring's definitely here where I live here in Boise, Idaho. Boise-ish. I live near Boise. So I hope you guys all have a wonderful week and you are getting to enjoy a little bit of whatever it is that brings you joy and happiness. And that's it for now.